What would you do if you discovered your husband wasn't just cheating, but systematically planning to steal $10 million from you and your children? Madison Parker thought she knew her husband of 10 years until she found his secret phone and everything changed. What started as suspicions about an affair became the discovery of a massive financial conspiracy that would either destroy her completely or make her the most dangerous woman Tyler Brooks had ever underestimated. Today's story has everything: hidden cameras, offshore accounts, a smug mistress who thought she'd already won, and a courtroom showdown that went viral worldwide. But here's what makes this different. Madison didn't just survive her husband's betrayal, she turned it into a weapon that would change her life forever. This is the story of how one woman's refusal to be erased became a masterclass in strategic revenge. Trust me, you won't see this ending coming. The courtroom air was thick with tension as Madison Parker reached into her purse with trembling hands. Across the aisle, Jessica Chen sat in the front row wearing a $3,000 red blazer, her legs crossed with the confidence of someone who believed she had already won. Tyler Brooks, Madison's husband of 10 years, avoided eye contact as his lawyer shuffled papers at the defendant's table. Madison's fingers found the small USB drive hidden in her wallet. 24 hours earlier, she never imagined it would come to this moment. The woman she once was, the trusting wife who believed in fairy tale endings, felt like a stranger now. But let's go back to where it all began to unravel. 3 months earlier, Madison was living what appeared to be the perfect Austin lifestyle. Her Instagram feed showcased their $2.3 million home in the hills, complete with infinity pool and Tesla in the circular driveway. At 32, she had stepped back from her successful lifestyle blog to focus on raising 8-year-old Chloe and 6-year-old Mason while Tyler built his tech startup. Their story seemed straight out of a romantic comedy. College sweethearts who built an empire together. Tyler, the ambitious entrepreneur featured on Forbes' 30 Under 30 list. Madison, the former influencer with 2.1 million followers who chose family over fame. Their house was the backdrop for neighborhood barbecues and charity fundraisers. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday morning in March. Tyler came downstairs for coffee, carrying a sleek black phone Madison had never seen before. "New work phone," he explained, not looking up from the screen. "Security requirements for the investors." Madison watched him slip it into his pocket, face down. In 10 years of marriage, Tyler had never been secretive about his devices. Their phones, laptops, and tablets were family property, used interchangeably for everything from checking weather to ordering groceries. "Since when do you need a separate phone for work?" Madison asked, pouring herself coffee. Tyler's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Since we're dealing with acquisition talks worth $50 million, Maddie, everything has to be encrypted now." The explanation made sense, but something felt off. Tyler had always shared his business victories and challenges with her. They were partners in everything. Now he was talking about $50 million deals like they were grocery lists. Over the following weeks, the new phone became Tyler's constant companion. It went with him to the bathroom, sat face down on his nightstand while he slept, and buzzed with messages at all hours. When Madison instinctively reached for it one evening after Tyler stepped outside to take a call, he lunged back into the room with panic flashing across his face. "It's just work stuff, babe," he said, smoothing his expression into a forced smile. "Boring legal documents and investor updates. You know how it is." Madison knew how it was. She also knew that look of panic wasn't about boring legal documents. The credit card alerts started arriving 2 weeks later. $400 dinners at restaurants she'd never heard of. Cocktails at upscale bars in downtown Austin. When Madison questioned the charges, Tyler had ready explanations. "Client entertainment, honey. You know I have to wine and dine these investors. It's all tax deductible anyway. But Madison had been managing their personal finances for years. These weren't the usual business expenses Tyler claimed. The restaurants were intimate, romantic places. The bars were the kind where people went for dates, not business meetings. Then Jessica Chen started appearing in Tyler's LinkedIn posts. Madison first noticed her in a group photo from a tech conference. Jessica was positioned next to Tyler, her hand casually resting on his arm as they posed with other startup founders. The caption read, "Amazing insights from my strategic partner Jessica Chen on scaling B2B platforms." Strategic partner was a new term. Tyler had never mentioned hiring anyone in that capacity. Madison clicked on Jessica's profile. 28 years old, former Silicon Valley lawyer turned startup consultant. Her headshot showed sharp cheekbones, perfectly styled dark hair, and the kind of confident smile that suggested she was used to getting what she wanted. Jessica's own posts painted the picture of a woman living her best life: designer handbags, first-class flights, inspirational quotes about manifesting abundance and stepping into your power. Her bio included the phrase, "helping visionary leaders unlock their potential." Something about Jessica Chen made Madison's stomach clench with unease. Madison's best friend Emma Rodriguez arrived at the house 20 minutes after receiving Madison's panicked text. She found Madison sitting at the kitchen island with her laptop open, surrounded by printed credit card statements and Tyler's LinkedIn posts. "Okay, what's the emergency?" Emma asked, setting down 2 large coffees from their favorite local shop. Madison spun the laptop around to show Jessica's Instagram feed. "This woman, she's Tyler's new business partner. But look at this." Emma scrolled through Jessica's recent posts: expensive dinners, luxury hotel stays, cryptic quotes about new beginnings. One photo showed Jessica holding a glass of wine with the caption, "Celebrating new partnerships and exciting futures." "When was this posted?" Emma asked. "Last Thursday. The same night Tyler said he was working late on investor presentations." Emma pulled out her phone and opened Venmo. As a social media manager, she knew all the digital stalking tricks. "What's Jessica's full name?" "Jessica Chen." "But Emma, I feel crazy doing this. Maybe I'm being paranoid." "Girl, intuition is never paranoia. Trust your gut." Emma typed quickly. "Found her. And honey, you need to see this." Emma turned her phone screen toward Madison. Jessica's Venmo transactions showed multiple payments from Tyler Brooks: $50 for lunch strategy session, $120 for late-night brainstorming, $300 for celebrating the big win. The transactions spanned 3 months, often occurring on nights when Tyler claimed to be working alone. Who celebrates a big win with their business consultant at 11 p.m.? Emma asked. Madison felt her world shifting beneath her feet. The evidence was circumstantial, but damning. Tyler wasn't just working with Jessica. He was spending time with her, money on her, and lying to Madison about it. "I need to know for sure," Madison said quietly. "What are you thinking?" Madison stood up and walked to the window overlooking their perfectly manicured backyard. "Tyler and I have Ring doorbells on every entrance. Cloud storage going back 6 months. If Jessica has been here for business meetings, there should be footage." They spent the next hour reviewing doorbell camera footage on Madison's phone. The first appearance of Jessica's white BMW was 2 months ago, on a Tuesday afternoon when the kids were at school and Madison was at her mom's house helping with grocery shopping. Jessica stayed for 3 hours. The next visit was on a Friday evening. Tyler had told Madison he was meeting investors for dinner downtown. Instead, Jessica's car appeared in their driveway at 7 p.m. and didn't leave until after midnight. "Madison," Emma said softly, pointing at the screen. "Look at what she's wearing." In the Friday evening footage, Jessica walked to the front door carrying an overnight bag and wearing what appeared to be silk pajamas under a long coat. Madison's hands began to shake. This wasn't a business meeting. This was something else entirely. Her phone buzzed with a text from Tyler. "Working late again tonight, babe. Don't wait up. Love you." Madison showed Emma the message. According to their location sharing, Tyler was at the office, but Madison had learned not to trust anything anymore. "I'm going to drive by his office," Madison announced. "I'm coming with you." 20 minutes later, they sat in Emma's car across from Tyler's downtown office building. The parking garage was nearly empty. Tyler's Tesla was nowhere to be seen. "Where do you think he really is?" Emma asked. Madison's phone buzzed with a notification from their joint credit card. A charge for $160 at an upscale steakhouse across town. The same restaurant where Tyler had claimed to take investors the previous week. "He's with her," Madison said, the words tasting bitter. "My husband is having an affair, and he's using our money to pay for their dates." Emma reached over and squeezed Madison's hand. "What do you want to do?" Madison stared at the empty office building where her husband was supposed to be working late. 10 years of marriage, 2 children, a life built on trust and partnership. All of it crumbling because Tyler had decided Jessica Chen offered something Madison couldn't. "I want the truth," Madison said. "All of it. And I'm going to get it." That night, after Tyler came home smelling like expensive perfume and claiming exhaustion from investor meetings, Madison lay awake making plans. If Tyler wanted to play games, she would learn the rules, but she wouldn't be playing to lose. She reached for her phone and began researching hidden cameras on Amazon. If Tyler thought she was naive enough to believe his lies indefinitely, he was about to learn how wrong he was. Madison Parker was done being the trusting wife. It was time to become something else entirely. Madison's Amazon order arrived in a plain brown box 2 days later. Inside were 3 devices that would change her life forever: a phone charger with a hidden camera, a picture frame that recorded both video and audio, and a smoke detector containing a wide-angle lens. As she held the small devices, Madison felt a wave of nausea. She was about to violate the sacred trust of her marriage, turn her dream home into a surveillance state, but Tyler had already violated their marriage. She was just documenting the wreckage. With Tyler at work and the kids at school, Madison set her plan in motion. The phone charger camera went into the outlet beside their bed, positioned to capture both the entrance and sleeping area. The picture frame, containing a photo of their family vacation to Cabo, went on the bookshelf in the living room with a clear view of the entire space. The smoke detector required the most effort, but Madison's years of managing home renovations had taught her basic electrical work. She positioned each camera carefully, testing the viewing angles through the accompanying app on her phone. The video quality was surprisingly clear, the audio crisp enough to pick up normal conversations. That evening, Tyler noticed the new picture frame immediately. "When did we get this photo printed?" he asked, examining the family picture. "Last week," Madison replied smoothly. "I thought it looked better in an actual frame than just on my phone." Tyler nodded and moved on, completely unaware that his every movement was now being recorded. The first few days of footage were agonizingly mundane. Madison would wait until Tyler fell asleep, then review hours of video on her phone with earbuds, fast-forwarding through empty rooms and routine activities. She saw herself moving through her own house like a ghost, preparing meals, helping kids with homework, existing in a marriage that felt increasingly hollow. The breakthrough came on a Friday afternoon. Tyler had told Madison he was flying to Dallas for a weekend conference, something about blockchain technology and venture capital. He packed a small suitcase, kissed her goodbye with practiced affection, and reminded her that Chloe had soccer practice on Saturday. But instead of leaving for the airport, Tyler's car returned to their driveway 3 hours later. Madison was at the grocery store when she received the motion alert on her phone. She pulled into the parking lot of a Whole Foods and opened the app, expecting to see a delivery driver or neighborhood cat triggering the sensor. Instead, she watched her husband walk through their front door carrying Chinese takeout bags and a bottle of wine from their personal collection. 20 minutes later, Jessica Chen appeared on camera. Madison's breath caught in her throat as she watched Jessica walk confidently through the house, commenting on the artwork and complimenting the architecture. She wasn't a nervous mistress sneaking around. She was comfortable, familiar, like she belonged there. "I love what Madison did with this kitchen," Jessica said, running her hand along the marble countertop. "Though I think we could make it more modern when we renovate." When we renovate, the words hit Madison like a physical blow. Tyler uncorked the wine and poured 2 glasses. "She put a lot of work into designing this place. Too bad she'll have to give it up." "Well," Jessica said, taking a sip of wine, "that's what happens when you stop appreciating what you have. Some women just get comfortable and stop trying." They were talking about Madison like she was already gone, already erased from the life she had built. Madison sat in her car watching her husband and his mistress drink wine in her kitchen, using her glasses, discussing her future like she was a business problem to be solved. The betrayal was so complete, so casual, that she almost couldn't process it. But the worst was yet to come. As the evening progressed, Jessica and Tyler moved to the living room. Madison watched Jessica curl up on the couch where Madison read bedtime stories to their children, where the family watched movies on Friday nights, where Madison had nursed both babies during countless sleepless nights. "The timeline is perfect," Jessica was saying. "File the papers next month, claim irreconcilable differences, offer her a settlement that sounds generous but keeps the real assets protected. By Christmas, we'll be married and living here." Tyler nodded, stroking Jessica's hair. "She trusts me completely. Always has. It's actually one of her better qualities. How naive she is." "Good," Jessica replied, "because naive wives sign papers without asking too many questions." Madison slammed her phone shut and sat in the Whole Foods parking lot, sobbing. They weren't just having an affair. They were planning to steal her entire life, and they thought she was too stupid to stop them. But Tyler had underestimated his wife. Madison Parker wasn't naive. She was just selective about when to use her intelligence. And now, she was motivated in a way she had never been before. She reopened her phone and began recording everything. Madison's discovery of the affair coincided with the worst possible timing. 3 days after watching Tyler and Jessica plan her future in her own living room, Madison's mother called with devastating news. "Honey, I need to tell you something," her mom said, her voice shaky. "The doctor found some abnormal cells in my mammogram. It's early stage, very treatable. But I'm going to need surgery and maybe some chemotherapy." Madison felt the world spin around her. Her mother, her rock, the woman who had helped her through every major life crisis, was facing cancer, and Madison was dealing with the complete destruction of her marriage. "Mom, I'll be right there. We'll figure this out together." When Tyler came home that evening, Madison was sitting at the kitchen table with medical pamphlets spread in front of her. "My mom has breast cancer," she said without preamble. Tyler glanced up from his phone, his expression showing mild annoyance rather than concern. "Oh, that's tough. Is it serious?" "Cancer is always serious. Tyler, she needs surgery next week, and I need to be there to help her." "Next week?" Tyler's frown deepened. "Maddie, I have the biggest investor presentation of my career next week. I can't handle the kids and work stress at the same time. Madison stared at her husband. My mother has cancer, and you're worried about your work schedule. I'm worried about our future, Tyler snapped. This presentation could change everything for us. Can't your sister help your mom? My sister lives in Seattle. I'm the only family Mom has here. Tyler stood up abruptly. Figure it out, Madison. I can't be distracted right now. That night, Madison asked Emma to install tracking software on Tyler's laptop while he was at his supposed investor meeting. Are you sure about this? Emma asked as she worked. He's planning to divorce me and take everything, Madison replied. I think I'm past worrying about being invasive. The next morning brought a new catastrophe. Madison woke up to find her Instagram account had been hacked. 2.1 million followers, 8 years of content, her entire digital identity as a lifestyle influencer, all gone. Tyler, my Instagram got hacked, she said, showing him her phone. Tyler barely looked up. That sucks, babe. Maybe it's a sign you should focus more on real life instead of social media. His complete lack of empathy was stunning. What Madison didn't know was that Jessica had orchestrated the hack through a contact in cybersecurity, the first step in systematically erasing Madison's independent identity. The breaking point came during Mason's school play. Madison sat in the elementary school auditorium, saving Tyler a seat, checking her phone every few minutes. Tyler never showed up. When Mason asked where Daddy was after the performance, Madison had to explain that Daddy was working late again. The disappointment in her son's eyes was heartbreaking. That night, Madison confronted Tyler in their bedroom. You missed Mason's play, she said quietly. I told you I had a crucial client call. Tyler replied, not looking up from his laptop. Tyler, our son was counting on you being there. Madison, I'm trying to build something here. Something that will secure our family's future. Sometimes that requires sacrifices. Sacrifices from who you're sacrificing our children's happiness and our marriage for a business that seems to require you to lie constantly. Tyler slammed his laptop shut. You know what, Madison? This is exactly why I can't talk to you anymore. Everything is drama with you. I need a partner who understands that building wealth requires focus and discipline. Madison realized Tyler wasn't just talking about their current situation. He was explaining why he had chosen Jessica. As Tyler stormed out, Madison opened her phone and checked the hidden camera feeds. Tyler was video calling Jessica. The timing is perfect, Tyler was saying. She's completely overwhelmed with her mom's cancer and the Instagram situation. She's not thinking clearly about anything else. Good, Jessica replied. Emotional women make terrible decisions. How's the asset protection coming along? Almost finished. Once I file the papers, she'll be so grateful for any settlement offer that she won't ask too many questions. Madison realized she was listening to the complete destruction of her life being planned in real time. But they had made one crucial mistake. They assumed Madison was too naive and too overwhelmed to fight back. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 2 weeks after Tyler missed Mason's school play, Madison discovered she was pregnant. She stared at the positive pregnancy test in their master bathroom, overwhelmed by a complex mix of emotions. 3 months ago, a third child would have been cause for celebration. She and Tyler had always talked about wanting a larger family. But now, carrying Tyler's baby while he planned to abandon their existing family felt like a cruel cosmic joke. Madison's first instinct was to tell Tyler immediately. Despite everything she had learned about his affair and financial planning, part of her still hoped that news of another child might shock him back to reality. Maybe Tyler would remember what they had built together, what they stood to lose. She was catastrophically wrong. Madison found Tyler in his home office that evening, supposedly working on investor presentations but actually video chatting with Jessica about their weekend plans. "Tyler," Madison said softly, knocking on the door frame. "Can we talk?" Tyler minimized his screen and turned around, his expression already showing annoyance at the interruption. "I'm pregnant," Madison said simply. Tyler's face went through a series of expressions: shock, panic, and finally settling on cold calculation. "Are you sure?" he asked. Madison held up the pregnancy test. 3 different tests, all positive. Tyler ran his hands through his hair, the gesture Madison had once found endearing but now recognized as Tyler buying time to craft his response. "Madison," he said carefully, "this really isn't good timing." "When is pregnancy ever good timing?" Madison replied, trying to keep her voice light. "But we've always wanted 3 kids. Remember when we used to talk about having enough children for our own basketball team? That was before everything got so complicated with work. Before I realized how much pressure I'm under to make this company successful." Madison felt a chill run through her. Tyler wasn't talking about timing. He was talking about whether he wanted this child at all. "What are you saying?" she asked. Tyler stood up and walked to the window, his back to Madison. "I'm saying maybe we should consider our options. Make sure we're thinking clearly about what's best for everyone." The euphemism hit Madison like a slap. Tyler was suggesting she terminate the pregnancy. "Tyler, this is our baby, our child. It's a collection of cells, Madison, and right now, bringing another child into an already stressful situation might not be the responsible choice." Madison heard Jessica's voice from Tyler's computer speakers, apparently unaware that she was being overheard. "Is everything okay? You look upset." Madison realized Jessica had been listening to their entire conversation. Her husband was discussing their unborn child with his mistress. "Are you getting advice about our pregnancy from Jessica?" Madison asked quietly. Tyler spun around, panic flashing across his face before he composed himself. "Jessica is a friend. She understands the pressures I'm dealing with. She understands the pressures you're dealing with regarding our baby. Madison, you're being paranoid again. This is exactly what I mean about the emotional drama." But Madison was no longer listening to Tyler's gaslighting. She was watching Jessica on the computer screen, and Jessica was smiling. Not a sympathetic smile or even a neutral expression. Jessica Chen was smiling like someone who had just received very good news. Madison excused herself and went to the bedroom, where she immediately opened the hidden camera app on her phone. She rewound to earlier that evening and watched Tyler's video call with Jessica before she had interrupted. What she heard made her blood run cold. "The pregnancy is actually perfect timing," Jessica was saying to Tyler. "It gives us a much tighter timeline, but it also provides the perfect cover story." "How do you mean?" Tyler had asked. Emotional pregnant wife becomes unreasonable and demanding. Husband tries to save the marriage, but realizes they want different things. By the time the divorce is final, she'll be dealing with a newborn and won't have the energy to fight the settlement terms. And if she doesn't agree to handle the pregnancy situation, Jessica shrugged, "Even better. You file for divorce, citing her inability to make rational decisions during a stressful time. Courts are sympathetic to men whose wives become unstable during pregnancy." Madison realized that her pregnancy, which should have been a source of joy, had become another tool in Tyler and Jessica's manipulation strategy. They had contingency plans for every scenario, each one designed to position Tyler as the reasonable party and Madison as the emotional, unstable wife. That night, Madison lay awake next to Tyler, her hand resting on her still flat stomach. She was carrying the child of a man who saw their pregnancy as either an inconvenience to be eliminated or a strategy to be exploited. The next morning, Madison made an appointment with her doctor, not to discuss Tyler's suggestion about considering options, but to ensure she was taking proper care of herself and the baby. If Tyler and Jessica thought pregnancy would make her weak and emotional, they were about to learn how wrong they were. Pregnant women, Madison knew, were capable of extraordinary things when protecting their children, and this baby, along with Chloe and Mason, needed protection from the man who was supposed to love them most. Madison Parker was about to become the most dangerous thing Tyler Brooks had ever encountered, a mother with nothing left to lose. As she scheduled her doctor's appointment, Madison also made another call to the best divorce attorney in Austin, a woman named Sarah Martinez, who had a reputation for destroying cheating husbands in court. Tyler wanted a timeline. Madison would give him one, just not the timeline he was expecting. Madison's meeting with divorce attorney Sarah Martinez took place in a downtown Austin high-rise with views of the Capitol building. Sarah was in her late 40s, with steel gray hair and the kind of sharp intelligence that came from 20 years of exposing lying husbands. "Mrs. Brooks," Sarah said, reviewing the folder Madison had prepared, "tell me about your suspicions regarding hidden assets." Madison laid out everything: the cryptocurrency transfers she had overheard, references to offshore accounts, Tyler's mentions of property purchases under other names. Sarah listened without interruption, occasionally making notes. "The hidden camera footage is problematic," Sarah explained. "Texas is a one-party consent state for recording, but there are still admissibility issues we'll need to navigate. However, what you've uncovered suggests systematic fraud. We need to move quickly." Sarah recommended hiring a forensic accountant immediately. "Dr. Patricia Chen," she said. "She's a former FBI financial crimes investigator who specializes in uncovering hidden assets in high-net-worth divorces." Madison met Dr. Chen at a discreet coffee shop near the university. Dr. Chen was younger than Madison had expected, probably mid-30s, with the intensity of someone who genuinely enjoyed solving complex puzzles. "I've reviewed your husband's public business filings," Dr. Chen said, sliding a folder across the table. "His startup shows minimal assets and significant debt, but that doesn't match his lifestyle or spending patterns." Dr. Chen had analyzed Tyler's social media posts and found significant discrepancies. "Your husband claimed a business loss of $200,000 last quarter, but his LinkedIn shows him celebrating major client acquisitions during the same period." Madison provided Tyler's laptop passwords, email credentials, and access to their joint financial accounts within 48 hours. Dr. Chen uncovered Tyler's secret financial empire. "Mrs. Brooks," Dr. Chen said during their follow-up meeting, "your husband hasn't just been hiding assets. He's been building a completely separate financial identity." The forensic analysis revealed cryptocurrency holdings worth over $4 million, all purchased using money transferred from their joint accounts and disguised as business expenses. Tyler had also established an offshore account in the Cayman Islands containing another $2 million. "Your husband owns real estate in 3 states, Dr. Chen explained, showing Madison a spreadsheet. "A lake house in Colorado, a condo in San Diego, and a rental property in Dallas. Total value approximately $3.5 million, all purchased through a shell company called Brooks Holdings, LLC. Madison stared at the numbers. Tyler had accumulated nearly $10 million in hidden assets while she was raising their children. "There's more," Dr. Chen continued. "Your husband's startup was recently acquired by a larger tech company. The sale price was $12 million. But according to his divorce planning documents, he's claiming the company failed and has no value." Madison felt dizzy. Tyler wasn't just hiding existing assets. He was actively defrauding her of a massive windfall that had already occurred. "How is this legal?" Madison asked. It's not, Sarah Martinez interjected. What your husband is doing constitutes criminal fraud. We're talking about federal crimes. That evening, Madison reviewed footage from Tyler's home office until she found a planning session between Tyler, Jessica, and a third person she didn't recognize. The beauty of the cryptocurrency strategy, the unknown man was saying, is that it's nearly impossible to trace if you use the right exchanges. By the time her lawyer figures out what happened, the money will be in accounts she can't touch. Tyler nodded enthusiastically. And the offshore setup protects everything else. Jessica laughed. Poor Madison. She has no idea what's coming. She still thinks Tyler is just working late and stressed about investor meetings. File the divorce papers next month. Claim business failure. Offer a settlement based on the fake financials. She'll be so overwhelmed and grateful for anything that she won't question the numbers. Madison realized she was watching the complete planning session for her financial destruction. Tyler, Jessica, and what appeared to be a financial advisor were systematically plotting to steal nearly $10 million from her and their children. Madison saved the video file and immediately sent copies to both Sarah Martinez and Dr. Chen. By morning, they would have everything they needed to not only win the divorce case, but potentially send Tyler to federal prison. Tyler Brooks had built his secret empire. Now Madison was going to burn it to the ground. The stress of uncovering Tyler's massive fraud, combined with her mother's cancer treatments and the emotional devastation of the affair, took a devastating toll on Madison's body. At 11 weeks pregnant, she began experiencing severe cramping and bleeding. Emma drove Madison to the emergency room at 3 a.m, holding her hand as doctors confirmed what Madison already knew in her heart: she was miscarrying. "I'm so sorry," the doctor said gently. "These things happen, especially during times of extreme stress. There's nothing you could have done differently." Madison stared at the ceiling of the hospital room, feeling hollowed out in a way that went beyond the physical loss. She was grieving not just the baby, but the final death of her marriage, the complete destruction of the future she had imagined. Emma called Tyler from the hospital. "Madison's in the ER," Emma told him. "She's miscarrying. You need to get here now." Tyler's response was telling. "Is she okay? I mean, is she going to be fine physically?" "Tyler, your wife is losing your baby and you're asking about logistics. I just mean, will she need surgery or anything complicated? I have that investor presentation in the morning." Emma hung up on him. Tyler did eventually arrive at the hospital 2 hours later, carrying coffee and looking more inconvenienced than concerned. He sat beside Madison's bed checking his phone while she processed the loss of their child. "The doctor said these things happen," Tyler said awkwardly. "Maybe it's for the best, given everything else we're dealing with." Madison turned to look at her husband, this man she had loved for 10 years, who was treating their miscarriage as a convenient solution to an unwanted problem. "Get out," she said quietly. "Madison, don't be dramatic. I'm here, aren't I? Get out of this room. Get out of this hospital. I never want to see you again." Tyler stood up, his expression shifting from annoyance to something approaching relief. "Fine. Call me when you're feeling more rational." After Tyler left, Madison received a text message that would haunt her for weeks. It was meant for Tyler, but had been sent to her by mistake. "So sorry about the miscarriage, babe. Probably a blessing in disguise. See you tonight to celebrate the new timeline. Love you." The message was from Jessica. Madison realized that Jessica saw the loss of Madison's baby as a cause for celebration. Their timeline was no longer complicated by pregnancy. Tyler could move forward with the divorce without worrying about child support calculations or custody arrangements for a newborn. Madison's grief transformed into something harder and more dangerous, pure, cold rage. Over the following weeks, Jessica systematically worked to isolate Madison from her support network. Emma received a job offer in Seattle from a company that turned out to be connected to Jessica's consulting network. The offer was generous enough that Emma couldn't reasonably turn it down, especially since her boyfriend had recently been transferred to the West Coast. "I don't want to leave you," Emma told Madison over coffee. "Especially not now." "You have to take it," Madison replied, though her heart was breaking. "It's an incredible opportunity." Madison didn't tell Emma that she suspected Jessica's involvement. Emma already felt guilty about the timing, and Madison didn't want to burden her with conspiracy theories, even if they were true. After Emma moved to Seattle, Madison found herself increasingly alone. Tyler had turned many of their mutual friends against her by sharing carefully crafted stories about Madison's emotional instability and unreasonable demands during his stressful work period. "I'm worried about Madison," Tyler would tell their neighbors at barbecues. "She's been struggling since her mom got sick, making accusations, becoming suspicious of everyone. I think the stress is really getting to her." Madison discovered this campaign of character assassination when her neighbor Carol mentioned being concerned about her mental health. "Tyler said you've been having a hard time lately," Carol said gently. "If you need someone to talk to, I know a good therapist." Madison realized Tyler was preemptively destroying her credibility. When the divorce proceedings began, everyone in their social circle would already believe Madison was unstable and unreliable. The final blow came when Madison's Instagram account, which had been hacked weeks earlier, was restored with different content. Someone had filled it with desperate, rambling posts about betrayal and revenge that made Madison look unhinged. The posts were designed to appear authentic, using Madison's writing style and personal information, but the content was clearly intended to damage her reputation. Madison immediately deleted the fake posts and changed all her passwords, but the damage was done. Screenshots of the crazy ex-wife content had already been circulated among their friends and professional networks. Tyler's strategy was brilliant in its cruelty. He wasn't just stealing Madison's money and children, he was stealing her identity, her relationships, and her credibility. By the time the divorce reached court, Madison would appear to be an emotionally unstable woman making wild accusations against her successful, patient husband. But Tyler had underestimated one crucial factor: Madison's capacity for strategic thinking when properly motivated. Alone in her house, surrounded by hidden cameras that continued recording Tyler and Jessica's planning sessions, Madison began her own systematic campaign. Not of character assassination, but of evidence gathering. She documented every lie Tyler told their friends. She recorded every conversation where Tyler painted her as unstable. She saved every text message, every email, every social media post that revealed the true scope of Tyler and Jessica's conspiracy. Madison realized that Tyler's attempt to isolate her had actually freed her to take actions she might have hesitated to take if she still had a reputation to protect. Tyler Brooks wanted to play psychological warfare. Madison was about to show him what psychological warfare looked like when executed by someone with nothing left to lose. Madison's transformation from trusting wife to strategic adversary accelerated after Jessica's campaign of isolation succeeded. With Emma in Seattle and most of their mutual friends convinced of Madison's instability, Madison was free to operate without worrying about maintaining social appearances. Her first target was Jessica's professional reputation. Madison had discovered through Dr. Chen's financial investigation that Jessica's consulting business was built on a foundation of lies. Jessica claimed to have helped 12 companies achieve successful exits, but when Madison researched the companies, she found a disturbing pattern. 3 of the companies had been led by married men who divorced during Jessica's consulting period. In each case, the man's ex-wife received a suspiciously small settlement despite the company's apparent success. Jessica wasn't just a home wrecker. She was running a sophisticated operation to help cheating husbands hide assets during divorce proceedings. Madison began reaching out to the ex-wives through carefully crafted LinkedIn messages. "Hi Sarah," Madison wrote to one woman. "I'm researching business consultants for a potential project and came across Jessica Chen's work with your ex-husband's company. Would you have a few minutes to chat about her effectiveness?" The responses were illuminating. Each ex-wife described a similar pattern: a female consultant who became overly involved in their husband's business decisions, followed by rapid deterioration of the marriage, followed by divorce proceedings where the husband claimed business failure despite apparent success. "I always suspected something was off," one ex-wife told Madison during a phone call. "Jessica would attend company events as Mark's plus one, claiming I was too busy with the kids to understand business networking, but she was building relationships with his investors and clients, positioning herself as his real partner." Madison realized Jessica's entire business model was identifying successful married men with significant assets, seducing them, helping them hide money during divorce proceedings, and then moving on to the next target. Tyler wasn't special. He was just her latest mark. Armed with this information, Madison began her counterattack. She created a detailed dossier on Jessica's pattern of behavior and sent it anonymously to the ethics boards of every professional organization Jessica claimed membership in. She also sent the information to journalists who specialized in financial crimes, including specific details about Tyler's hidden assets and the systematic fraud being planned. Madison's second strategy involved Tyler's professional reputation. Tyler's startup acquisition by the larger tech company was supposed to be announced publicly within 2 weeks. Madison had learned about the timing through Tyler's hidden camera conversations with Jessica. The acquisition would make Tyler a celebrated figure in Austin's tech community, potentially positioning him for future ventures and board positions. Madison decided to accelerate the timeline. Using information from Dr. Chen's forensic investigation, Madison compiled a comprehensive report detailing Tyler's hidden assets, offshore accounts, and systematic fraud. She sent the report anonymously to the acquiring company's board of directors, their legal team, and their compliance department. The report raised serious questions about Tyler's character and financial practices. If Tyler was willing to defraud his own family, what would prevent him from defrauding business partners or investors within 48 hours? Madison received confirmation that her strategy was working. Tyler came home from work, visibly agitated, pacing their living room while speaking frantically to Jessica on his secure phone. "They're asking questions about my personal finances," Tyler was saying. "Wanting documentation of all my assets and business interests. Someone sent them information about accounts they shouldn't know about." "Who could have done that?" Jessica asked. "I don't know, but this could destroy everything. If they discover the offshore holdings before the acquisition closes, they could withdraw the offer entirely." Madison realized Tyler was trapped between two impossible choices: disclose his hidden assets and face immediate fraud charges, or continue hiding them and risk losing the $12 million acquisition that represented his financial future. Tyler chose a third option: acceleration. That evening, Madison watched through her hidden cameras as Tyler and Jessica held an emergency strategy session. "We move up the timeline," Tyler announced. "File the divorce papers tomorrow. Offer Madison a quick settlement, and get her signature before anyone asks more questions." "What about the asset investigation?" Jessica asked. "We'll claim everything is tied up in the failed business. Offer her the house and $1 million cash. She'll think she's getting a good deal. And if she doesn't take it," Tyler's expression turned cold, "then we make her life so miserable she'll sign anything to make it stop." Madison realized Tyler was about to escalate their conflict to a level she hadn't anticipated. He wasn't just planning financial fraud anymore. He was planning systematic harassment and psychological abuse. But Madison had spent weeks preparing for this moment. Her evidence was compiled, her legal team was in place, and her counter strategy was ready to deploy. Tyler Brooks thought he was playing chess while Madison played checkers. He was about to discover that Madison had been playing a completely different game, one where she controlled all the pieces and Tyler had already lost. The next morning, Madison received the call she had been expecting. "Mrs. Brooks," Sarah Martinez said, "your husband just filed for divorce. Are you ready to fight?" Madison looked around the house she had designed, the life she had built, the future Tyler was trying to steal from her and their children. "I've been ready for weeks," Madison replied. "Let's destroy him." The day of the divorce hearing arrived with the crisp clarity of a Texas autumn morning. Madison sat in the passenger seat of Sarah Martinez's car, reviewing her notes one final time. In her purse, a small USB drive contained months of evidence that would either vindicate her completely or destroy her credibility forever. "Remember," Sarah said as they parked, "Tyler's strategy will be to paint you as an unstable, vindictive ex-wife making wild accusations. They want you to look emotional and unreliable. And our strategy: let them lie. Let them perjure themselves completely. Then we show the judge exactly who Tyler Brooks really is." The courtroom was smaller than Madison had imagined, paneled in dark wood that absorbed light and sound. Tyler sat at the defendant's table with his lawyer, Garrett Phillips, wearing his most expensive suit and an expression of wounded dignity. But it was Jessica's presence that made Madison's stomach clench with anger. Jessica sat in the front row, wearing a red power suit, her legs crossed with practiced elegance, radiating the confidence of someone who believed she had already won. Judge Rebecca Coleman entered with brisk efficiency. She was in her 50s, with silver hair and sharp intelligence that came from years of detecting lies and manipulation. "Mr. Phillips," Judge Coleman said, "you may begin." Garrett Phillips painted Tyler as a devoted husband whose marriage had deteriorated due to circumstances beyond his control. Tyler's business stress, Madison's emotional instability, the tragic miscarriage that had pushed Madison into paranoid accusations. "Your Honor," Phillips said, "Mr. Brooks has tried everything to save this marriage, but Mrs. Brooks has become convinced that her husband's professional success somehow constitutes betrayal." Phillips presented Tyler's financial disclosure, a document Madison knew to be completely fraudulent. According to the filing, Tyler's assets totaled approximately $2 million. "Mr. Brooks is offering her the family home, full custody of their children, and a lump sum settlement of $1.2 million. Then Tyler took the stand, his hand on the Bible as he swore to tell the truth. "Mr. Brooks," Phillips began, "has your marriage been a happy one?" "For many years, yes," Tyler replied with manufactured sadness. "But over the past year, Madison has become suspicious, accusatory. She's convinced herself that I'm hiding things from her. Have there been any third parties involved in the breakdown of your marriage?" Tyler looked directly at Judge Coleman. "Absolutely not, Your Honor. I've been faithful to my wife throughout our marriage." Madison saw Jessica shift slightly, a small smile playing at her lips. "Mr. Brooks, have you provided a complete and accurate accounting of your assets?" "Yes, I have," Tyler said firmly. "Everything is documented. I've been completely transparent." "Are there any hidden accounts, offshore holdings, or undisclosed assets?" "None whatsoever," Tyler replied without hesitation. Judge Coleman turned to Madison's table. "Ms. Martinez, your witness." Sarah Martinez approached with measured pace. "Mr. Brooks, you've testified under oath that there was no third party involved in your marriage breakdown. Is that correct?" That's correct. And you've testified that your financial disclosure is complete and accurate. Yes. So you have no knowledge of an account at Cayman International Bank containing approximately $2 million. Tyler's composure flickered. I don't know what you're talking about. And you have no knowledge of a shell company called Brooks Holdings LLC that owns 3 properties worth approximately $3.5 million. That's ridiculous, Tyler said, his voice rising. My wife is feeding you fantasies. Sarah paused. Mr. Brooks, is there anything you'd like to change about that testimony? No, Tyler said firmly. I'm telling the truth. Sarah turned to Judge Coleman. Your Honor, we have evidence that will directly contradict the witness's testimony, evidence that proves Mr. Brooks has just committed perjury multiple times. Garrett Phillips shot to his feet. Objection. What kind of ambush is this, Your Honor? Sarah replied calmly, walking to her table and picking up the USB drive. I'm presenting evidence of perjury. Judge Coleman looked intrigued. I'll allow it, she decided. Mr. Brooks opened this door himself by testifying about these matters under oath. As the court's AV system loaded the footage, Madison watched Tyler's face go ashen. Jessica looked like she wanted to flee. The monitor flickered to life, showing Tyler's home office. There was Tyler in his chair and Jessica on his desk. Are you sure Madison bought the Chicago story? Jessica's voice filled the silent courtroom. Tyler's response was devastating. Of course, Madison buys everything. It's one of her best qualities. She's trusting. The collective gasp was audible. Jessica sank lower in her seat. Sarah fast-forwarded to more damaging footage showing Tyler and Jessica planning offshore accounts, discussing shell company properties, and celebrating their fraud scheme. The cryptocurrency transfers should be complete by next week, Tyler's voice said. By the time Madison's lawyer figures out what happened, the money will be untouchable. Judge Coleman removed her glasses and stared at Tyler with undisguised fury. Mr. Brooks, do you have anything to say for yourself? Tyler sat completely broken. Jessica bolted from the courtroom, her heels clicking frantically as she fled. Madison felt profound calm wash over her. The truth was finally out. Justice was about to be served. Judge Coleman's fury was a force of nature, cold and implacable as she delivered her ruling. Tyler sat at the defendant's table, looking like a man who had just watched his entire world collapse in real time. Mr. Brooks, the judge began, her voice cutting through the courtroom silence. Your conduct represents one of the most egregious examples of marital fraud I have encountered in 20 years on this bench. You have lied to your wife, lied to this court, and attempted to steal nearly $10 million from your family. Tyler's lawyer tried to interject, but Judge Coleman silenced him with a look. The court awards Mrs. Brooks 80% of all marital assets, including the entirety of the cryptocurrency holdings, offshore accounts, and properties held through Brooks Holdings LLC. Madison felt Emma squeeze her hand. Emma had flown back from Seattle specifically for the hearing. Furthermore, Mrs. Brooks is awarded sole ownership of the family home. Mr. Brooks attempted to defraud his wife of this very property through his shell company scheme. The judge turned to custody arrangements. Mrs. Brooks is awarded full legal and physical custody of both minor children. Mr. Brooks's visitation rights are suspended pending completion of a comprehensive psychological evaluation. Tyler's face had gone gray. The court is also referring this matter to the district attorney's office for criminal prosecution. Mr. Brooks, you have very likely destroyed your freedom. Judge Coleman's final words were delivered with satisfaction, and Mr. Brooks, The acquiring company withdrew their offer this morning after receiving detailed information about your financial crimes. Your tech career is over. As the judge concluded the session, Madison felt profound closure. Tyler had underestimated her completely, and that miscalculation had cost him everything. 3 weeks later, Madison stood in her newly redecorated home office, the same room where Tyler had planned her destruction. She had transformed it into her workspace, complete with professional lighting for the podcast she was launching. "Welcome to Truth and Consequences," Madison said into the microphone. "The podcast where we expose financial infidelity and help women protect themselves from cheating husbands who think they're smarter than they are." The podcast had been Emma's idea. Madison's story had resonated with millions of women. Publishers were interested in book deals. Streaming services wanted documentary rights. Today's episode features Dr. Patricia Chen, the forensic accountant who helped uncover my ex-husband's $10 million fraud scheme. Tyler's attempt to destroy her had actually launched her into a more successful career than she had ever imagined. Her rebuilt Instagram account now had 3 million followers. Emma had moved back from Seattle and become Madison's business partner, managing the rapidly growing media empire. Her phone rang with a call from an unknown number. "Madison, it's Tyler." The sound of his voice after months of silence was jarring. Madison could hear prison background noise. "I wanted to apologize for everything. I know it doesn't matter now, but I need you to know that I realize what I did was wrong. Tyler, you didn't just cheat on me. You tried to erase me. You planned to steal our children's inheritance. An apology doesn't fix that level of betrayal." "I know," Tyler said quietly. "Jessica told me about her other cases. I wasn't special. I was just another mark." Madison felt a moment of pity. Tyler had lost everything for a woman who had moved on before his trial even ended. "Tyler, I hope you use your time in prison to figure out how you became the kind of person who could do what you did, but I've moved on." Madison hung up and blocked the number. That evening, Madison sat on her patio watching Chloe and Mason play. They were happy, secure, surrounded by the stability Madison had fought to preserve. "Mom," Chloe said, running up, "can I bring friends over to watch you record the podcast tomorrow? They think it's so cool that my mom is famous for catching bad guys." Madison laughed, pulling her daughter close. "Of course, baby. But I'm not famous for catching bad guys. I'm famous for not letting bad guys win." As the sun set over Austin, Madison felt deep satisfaction that had nothing to do with revenge and everything to do with justice. Tyler had tried to write her out of her own story. Instead, she had written herself into a new story entirely. Madison Parker's story wasn't a fairy tale. It was something better. It was proof that the truth, when wielded by someone with nothing left to lose, was the most powerful weapon of all. Madison's new chapter was just beginning. If Madison's incredible comeback inspired you, smash that like button and let me know in the comments what you would have done in her situation. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they're stronger than they think. And don't forget to subscribe, because we're just getting started with these jaw-dropping true stories of justice served cold.